My name is Will Lajeunesse. I'm an industrial designer for Kepi Motor. I have been a 3D designer for about 12 years, and I have been a 3D printer for about 10 years. Originally, I was a graphic artist, and I'm from Canada.
What kind of products can you make with a 3D printer in general?
Generally, with the type of 3D printing that we're doing here, you can make almost anything from toys to tools to complex machines. It's up to imagination and how to get the imagination to work in reality. So it's a very diverse field.
What kind of products are difficult to print with a 3D printer?
Difficult products to print. Anything made of rubber. Rubber products are difficult. Certain translucent products are difficult. Anything that has complex structures, there's a lot of difficult things to print in 3D printing.
Which parts do you print that are used in Kepi Motor?
Well, we print the body of the motors here. As you can see, here's a completed one. So we have the 3D printed plastic, we have the copper, the magnets are inside the shaft. We also print the bodies of the fans, the case for the fans. So it's functional and it's aesthetic stuff that we print and make here. We also print our own tools when we need to. So here's a simple press that we use to make fan grills. It's just one of them. So yeah.
What does the fan grill look like?
Well, here's an unpainted one. This one still needs to be painted, but this is all 3D printed plastics designed and invented here. I designed it and printed this one. This is metal wire, so very cool, affordable, practical. Yep.
What are you printing in that printer now?
Right here, I'm printing these things. I'm printing this part here for the fan grills. So, yep.
What problems can appear when you have to fit one piece to another?
Well, working with plastic, one has to understand that what we design on the computer isn't necessarily exactly what's going to come out in the printer, because the plastic is being melted as it's printing, so the use of heat and then later cooling causes the material to shrink and expand. So sometimes pieces just don't fit right. So we have to compensate in the computer. We have to make pieces a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. So it can be complicated at times.
Which was the most difficult part you have done?
Well, again, this fan motor, 2 years of development and testing and designing to get a motor that we could print effectively, quickly, and affordably, that was strong enough to be used for our purposes in the fans.
About how many different pieces do you print for the production of Kepi Motor resident motor?
For just this motor alone, there's 1, 2, 3 pieces. We have this other motor here for one of our kits, and this has about 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 4 pieces here. It really depends. So between 3 to 4 pieces for each motor. Mm-hmm.
And what about the oscillator fan?
The oscillator fan, that one's a little bit more complicated. It's a lot more complicated. You're looking at about 18 to 20 different pieces, mais ou menos.
What is the preparation procedure before start printing?
The first thing that has to be done is cleaning of the print surface, the bed. Make sure that the surface is free of oil, don't touch it with your hands and stuff. Then the machine has to be preheated. You have to bring the temperature of the bed up. Everything has to, the metal of the bed has to expand, and then the machine has to be leveled. So there's a simple program on here, and it will level it. That's the very first thing, and make sure that you have the correct plastic and everything looks good.
What can go wrong?
Everything can go wrong. So the most common problem, the most frustrating problem, is when the plastic doesn't stick to the print surface. So it'll be printing and all of a sudden it'll come up and you'll hear and the pieces will be falling everywhere. And that can happen at any point during the printing process. So it could be printing really well for an hour or 3 hours, come back an hour or the next morning, and it'll be a disaster. So this is the most critical part of 3D printing in terms of the operation of the machines, is learning and understanding how to get things to stick to the bed.
You are using the blue tape to fix it. Are there other methods to fix?
There are. I've used every method I could think of, and I've tested it thoroughly. And for my purposes, the blue tape is the most effective. One can use commercially available adhesives. One can use sugar. Some people spend money and they buy a special build surface. These types of machines come with a build surface. I use them sometimes for some parts, but I find the blue tape is the best option.
What kind of beginners make mistakes are there?
Yeah, in the beginning, all the mistakes are made. The biggest and most common mistake I see people doing, and what I did in the beginning, was printing too complicated of things, too big and too complicated.